Call to the meeting to order at 8:38, and we have a quorum. Thank you all for coming. The minutes from October 24th.
I do have them, I made an amendment, but I didn't reprint them, so just know that they are correct. It's just the way I worded the motion was wrong for the minutes of the last time, so if you want, I have them here, Suzanne.
What?
Okay, so it says, sorry, I'll just take one. It says, where I did the motion, it said, hey, for the approval of the minutes, I said, hey, seconded the meeting adjourned at 9:50. So I just changed it to, in the motion passed.
Okay.
8-0, it's copy and paste.
Okay.
So they're all good though.
Okay.
Those are incorrect, but it's fixed on my computer.
So I would, is there a motion to approve as amended by Courtney?
Yeah, I move that we approve the minutes
Is there a
Of-
second?
of,
Sorry, Jan.
what's the date
October
here?
24th.
October 24th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Right.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Okay, so I began to feel as if I were lost in all the individual papers that were being turned in, everybody's hard work. So what I did was, I took whatever we had, created an outline just by topic, and then cut and paste as much as I could into one document. One,
very
two.
nice.
There's two on that side, 1, 2, 3, 4 on that side. So I also numbered the pages and dated this. So each time, as people send amendments to me, what I'd like to do is, I don't think I have everything in here, but I have the vast majority of it. So I need you to do two things. If I've left out something that you've already submitted, resubmit it to me in electronic version so I can cut and paste into the document. And then we can all make notes on each, and I also inserted page breaks. So whatever I insert, the headings are going to each have their own page start.
Yeah, because I gave you a whole new edition of natural areas.
Which is right here, and I don't,
If you want to pass that around.
Right.
So this, the one in here is,
it's
no
dated,
more.
it's
Yeah.
dated, but that's exactly what I want to do. I want to have one piece, one booklet we can pick up and work with and make notes on, and then I can do the corrections for the following meeting and we can go from there. Some of the topics have almost nothing. Some of them have surprisingly about 80% of what we need,
Yeah.
except for verbiage. So I'm pretty impressed by that.
I put that here.
And you gave me his new historic areas.
Yeah, but I will send it to you digitally.
Okay, if you'll send it to me digitally, I can word process it into here. In the meantime, I will pass these out to everybody.
So, and
it's
I,
not quite as sweet.
and I did a narrative for economic vitality that's missing, that I had.
Well, that's what I need to know, Bonnie. See, things like that.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
because I sent it and then you guys said, oh, it wasn't a place type, so we weren't gonna discuss it.
Well, we can,
So let me, I'll send
resend
it
it to me, please.
I'll send it to you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know about the rest of it, I was beginning to feel I didn't know what I had. And I realized as I was driving in this morning, I missed some of Jan's stuff. So I apologize for that, but
It's fine.
I just got this bright idea yesterday morning, so it was kind of a quick and dirty word processing.
Very helpful. Very helpful, yeah.
And I also, each division has its own headings, and because they each have their own page break, if we decide we want to reorder them by topic, we can just do that same thing, and then I just renumber, and when we get to the end of the document, we'll do the final word processing. I know I'm gonna make a note right here on Jan to add new. Whenever I knew who had written something, some of them were didn't have names attached to the documents I had saved. So I may have just put something in that you wrote without an attribution, so I apologize for that as well. And Elaine, I put the executive summary you brought on housing last time under housing, but we probably want to look at that more. I don't know if, I guess we can do it area by area,
Okay.
after we look through it for a little while.
I just have a general comment.
Sure.
I went back to the 2005 plan when I was writing the maritime section. And, one thing that I found helpful is that they actually have the specific planning bullet points. Are we gonna be doing something like that?
Yeah, I looked that over too, and I noticed that they were doing that.
It was helpful writing this because I said, well, we've done that.
Right, I think that those will come last, because those will also tie in with, excuse me if I'm lisping, I have a dental issue. They'll tie in with the final iteration of the plan, once we get all the current information about what exists, issues, goals, and then we can have specific bullet points on what we would like to achieve.
So I think it helps in the writing of kind of the vision statement because you're not so worried about nailing all these tiny little things.
Exactly, exactly. And Jay he isn't with us because he's plowing or sanding or something. He had created like mini visions for each subdivision, which I think is
Yes.
also helpful, because we don't have to have this huge, long, you make the vision statement too long, people stop reading it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing about the 2008 plan, it's long.
Yeah.
You know, for a bunch of different reasons. One of them is the one that Mac just mentioned, which can be a good thing, but, I was looking through the historic areas and those bullet things in the end were longer than the actual, than the actual.
There were a lot of ambitious bullet points.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I also, when we did 2 years ago, the pre-disaster mitigation planning document, I think there's 3 or 4 bullet points, goals, whatever, at the end of each section. And we gave them a 1, 2, or 3 point rating, like 1 being the most important, 2 being mid-term, like might take longer, and 3 being a long-range goal. So I think it helps to think of goals in those 3 steps as well. Something you can achieve by the end of this plan, and something that might not be done by the end of the plan, but should be continued on into the following iteration of the plan. Without having 25 bullet points. All right, so I'd like to leave the executive summary in the vision and mission and start with natural areas. And Jan gave us her the new document this morning. So in some cases, I could not cut and paste because you nicely sent the documents in PDF. So please don't send them in PDF. I'd rather have them in Word or in the body of an email or something that I can cut and paste. So I'm gonna put Jan's natural areas, interleave her between 3 and 4 for right now. And then we have the original natural areas there too, so I'll put them both there. And let me see, what else did like Jay's historic stuff, I could not cut and paste.
Yes, I just did it.
I love your typeface though.
Yeah.
It looks like my old typewriter, it's really cool.
Yeah,
That's what I use for everything.
it's Courier, right?
Yeah,
Courier New.
yeah,
Very zoning board-esque.
yeah. I can just see the little ball on my selectric typewriter, oh, just a Courier ball.
One of my clients still has a selector.
Those were the best typewriters. I
That-
hated it when they took my typewriter away.
Remember the lovely old man that used to come repair them?
I think they took them away when he retired.
I think so.
And let me see what other things I noticed when I was doing this yesterday. Some of these, there's, I think 17 pages and 2 or 3 are totally blank, so we have room to put in and still stay within our 24-page goal, which I think was our stated goal a few meetings ago, to keep it to around 24 pages and have appendices with the housing study. One of the things we haven't talked about that I noticed in the, I was rereading the directive on how to create a local comprehensive plan, is that we need to have an inventory of our current infrastructure and a list of needs for that. So that, I think we need to reach out to the Building Needs and Assessment Committee.
Yeah, and in fact, I got an email from Harry last week, I guess, before Thanksgiving, asking about dates and stuff, saying that there were a few issues that we needed to talk about.
Absolutely. Would you like to invite them to the next meeting?
Well, let's see I'm waiting to hear back from them.
Okay.
So,
You're,
Yeah,
I'm
well-
relying on you to be the liaison.
no, I thought about that, and I said, we should be talking about this, because we haven't met in a while. And, sure, and Harry beat me to it,
Of course he did. Of course he did. It's Harry.
but I haven't heard, I'm waiting to hear back from him. And,
Okay, excellent. All right, so that's the only thing that is not mentioned in here is the inventory of our infrastructure and the needs. And I think that will also tie into the whole, once we get it together, we're gonna have to go through it and look at it with an eye to what, if any, bylaw additions or amendments would have to be made to achieve the goals. Which is why the planning board will be key in that.
Yeah. Yeah. So could you talk a little bit more about the process there? Because are we, is this board identifying how the bylaws need to be
Nope.
changed? And then,
Well,
because I
I don't think,
tried to have that conversation.
what I envision is that the planning board is the board that is the most experienced with bylaw changes, except for the bylaw committee. And that once we get our areas, our goals in place, I would like to send it to the planning board with your agreement and ask them to look at the goals and see if, in their better knowledge of the bylaws, that any of the existing bylaws need to be amended, or whether we need to create a new bylaw to allow this goal to go forward. That would be the 2 questions for the planning board.
Well, there's more than that. I've been looking over the 2008 LCP. They talk about getting the state involved in a lot of this stuff.
I know they do,
And I can't, that's over my head.
Yeah, I think that there has to be some verbiage that the town will work in conjunction with the county commission and with the Commonwealth, but we're only looking at a local comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
And we can't do more than, and if one of our goals and one of our bylaw changes hits a wall, then we work with the state, and try to figure out how to work it out. I can't presume what the state will require or say about our
Well,
any proposed bylaw.
I mean, the way a bylaw change works is that you know, once you need a 2/3 vote of town meeting, and then it goes to the AG's office.
Right.
And, you know, and they decide whether they think it's legal, and, you know, and workable.
Right.
And that's the way it's supposed to work, you know.
And that's the way it should work, and that's how, on a local level, we can come up with what we think is, yes, Bonnie?
So that sounds really backwards to me. Like, wouldn't you want an opinion before you take it to
You
town
can,
meeting?
yeah, you can, but usually you get an opinion from somebody that works for you.
Uh-huh.
Town council
Yeah,
does
yeah,
it.
okay.
You know, is the right way to do it. Yeah, you can do that if you think it's necessary.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess if you have any doubts about
Yeah.
whether it would be legal
Yeah,
according to Mass bylaws, it'd be good to
it's
find
not-
that out before you go to town meeting.
All the seashore stuff had to go that route.
Uh-huh.
And it's still questioned whether it's enforced, whether it'll hold up under a lawsuit.
Yeah, okay.
So, because it's stuff that's in 48-6.
Because of what?
In the zoning act, there's something in there that says that you can't legislate the interior area of the house.
Ah, yeah, right.
It's black and white.
Right.
So, you know, but somehow the AG thought it would be okay. You know.
Depends.
And our town council thought it would be okay. I think I was at that town meeting. So, you know, but, you know, be that as it may, that's the way to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's convoluted, but I return to my personal view is that this is the local comprehensive plan.
Yes.
We cannot presuppose what the other levels of government are gonna say about what we wanna do.
Yeah, no,
So,
I'm with you.
this is a vision thing. If we're gonna restrict our vision by what might happen, then we're not doing our job.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, but
No,
I
don't be
just
sorry, go
wanna-
right ahead.
I wanna, so for instance, like in the draft of natural areas, there are goals that say, seek by town bylaw changes that encourage housing with minimal environmental effect. So, that's where, I mean, even before we send this goal to the planning board, it'd be useful to know from all the members of this committee where they think, what bylaws they think need to be changed and how, you know?
Well, I don't think, I disagree. I think
Yeah.
that, I do, because I think we're not the ones that are knowledgeable about bylaws. The planning board is the one that's knowledgeable about bylaws. And we also have a bylaw committee, bylaw review committee, which will go over any proposed bylaw before it goes to town meeting.
Yeah, right.
So they're, in my mind, the experts that I'm bouncing the ideas off of. And if they say, well, pretty much now you can do this, this, and this, and we might want a bullet point of what we want to do. But I think that goal with the minimal environmental effect is kind of a generic goal. I think I'd want it more specific before I send it off to the
Yeah,
two
for sure.
boards to look at. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I think if
We can
there's
have bullet points
areas that we
underneath that.
already know are problematic, it'd be good to spell it out.
Absolutely.
This is the problem a new bylaw would need to solve, you know?
I'd like to see the bullets underneath that with specific
Yeah.
Well,
challenges.
there's a zoning bylaw, and then there's a general bylaw.
Yes,
And
right.
I think the bylaw committee is mostly involved with general bylaws.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little complicated, but,
Right.
you know, it's a state, you're at the nexus of the town bylaws meeting the state bylaws,
Okay.
and they have to somehow agree.
We can be more strict, my general understanding is we as a town can legislate something that's more restrictive than the state,
Oh,
but
yeah.
not less.
Absolutely,
That's
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
like, we can't say, oh, we don't believe in the 100-foot buffer, you know, like, that's not gonna fly.
Thank goodness.
No, I mean, Orleans, I think, has a bigger buffer than that. They have,
Oh,
Right.
you're talking about conservation?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Orleans is like,
well, that's Gussie. Gussie got that through.
I got burned, but in a conservation meeting by a bylaw change that nobody even knew happened. Where they increased the, what we call the filter strip, the 50-foot no-touch zone. They just increased it to 75 feet. And nobody in the room, that includes our lawyer, me, or our civil engineer, knew about it.
Wow.
Surprise. All right, so let's see. Let me just quickly go through here and see if I have any other thoughts. Oh, I'm sorry Jay's not here because one of the place types is suburban development areas, and I don't remember if we decided to adopt that, but if you look at the definition, it says it involves housing. So I'm thinking that maybe the proposed housing at
95.
95 Lawrence Road, sorry Elaine, I knew it was it. 95 Lawrence Road might be something that we could include under suburban, because it's like cluster housing is one of the
Right, it's more
top
dense,
subtopics under it.
I don't know why we're including suburban. I don't remember seeing it. That's one of the ones we agreed on.
And we didn't agree on it, but I'm just, as I reread the descriptions of the place types, this is a question mark page. If I'm the only one who has that thought, then we can just throw it away and not even think about it and put it under housing.
Yeah.
I only had it because in the description of how they described, the commission describes suburban development areas, it's residential neighborhoods built primarily between the 50s and 90s, automobile-oriented commercial and light industrial development established during the same period. Vision is to redevelop commercial and industrial SDA consistent with the community's vision to create more concentrated nodes of development and better integrate into surrounding neighborhoods. Vision for the residential SDA is to cluster residential development to reduce the developmental footprint and provide high-quality open space, and I had Route 6 corridor.
Right, and I think we already have high-quality open space,
Yeah.
That's like the very last
de
one.
facto.
Yeah.
There's some useful phrases in there.
Yeah.
Well, what was the 50 to 90? What did that mean?
Residential neighborhoods built primarily between the 1950s and 1990s.
That would be over half of well-leased dwelling places.
Yeah, right.
So I think that,
So there's pieces to it.
there's pieces, it's not a big deal, but I included in there as a placeholder, in case we wanna do something about it. I don't think,
I think people get stuck on the word suburban.
yeah, I
And
think
then they think of the outer
yeah,
cape and they
right,
don't
yeah.
mix, and I think we get stuck a lot on like phrases here that maybe don't mesh well with the appearance of the outer cape, but I mean, I was going strictly off of how the commission described these areas.
right, and I agree with you, and so I do agree that the Route 6 corridor, anyway, this is a placeholder. Jay, gave us new historic areas. Max, your email was just in time yesterday to be included in the maritime, so thank you very much. And also, I've spoken briefly to Nancy Chivetta, our Shellfish Constable, and she has information for us on shellfishing, and she would be glad to come to a meeting that isn't at low tide. So I think that will be useful for the show. I don't see any, I think that would, and then the voting and recreation,
Where are you?
I'm on page 12,
I
under maritime.
got it.
See, page numbers are good.
Very,
Thank you, thank you.
very.
Yeah, those are 3 bullet points that I just left unpopulated because they're important. But I'm not sure whether voting and recreation should be 2 bullet points or 1 bullet point. We'll have to talk about that. Because the people who have a private boat moored in the basin probably have different needs and goals than the people who go swimming in the ocean side. So just, Jennifer,
So by boating, it means recreational boating and
Yes.
not the
Commercial.
boating that you do with fishing or shellfish.
I also think that maybe shellfish, we should do, do we need to add commercial fishing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
when I went through thinking about this, first of all, I think reaching out to Mike Flanagan is important. I've been trying to connect with him and just haven't been able to. But there's the larger scale commercial boating activity, which has been diminished over the years, but we still have that. Then there's the charter boating activity, which is still a business, although a bit more like recreation. And then you have the recreational boating activity. So there are really a lot of different boating activities that occur out of that harbor. But I think generally they all agree that without a dredged harbor, none of those things are really possible. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the overwhelming need is to dredge the harbor.
Right.
I mean, there's no question about that.
Right, and that's sort of what I focused on. All of these other things with regards to the harbor itself are really fundamentally come down to the dredging. And that was ironically, or I guess sadly, not even mentioned in the 08 plan.
Right, and the 08 plan hardly mentioned shellfishing
It
either.
hardly mentioned
But in
shellfish.
08, shellfishing was a robust industry here, but anyway,
Yeah.
it's okay. We're gonna fix that. Community activity centers. I still hold with the fact that the dump is a community activity center, but Jay has hosied it for light industrial, so that's fine. And I did speak to Mike, and do you have any, in terms of the reports that we'd like to probably footnote in some of these sections and amend, append to the document itself? Like the housing or the pre-disaster mitigation or,
Yeah, so obviously those are all out there and should be referenced in some fashion. I'm not sure they should be appendixes depending on the size. Because it
Right.
might be kind of,
right,
a little bit overwhelming to do that, but I think referencing that they have done and that they're completed is important to put in there.
and also I think that because we won't be printing them, which would be,
Yeah. I think just referencing them is.
or we could just append maybe the executive summaries for each one.
Could possibly.
And that would give people the actual titles and make sure that they're on the website, so when they look under documents, they can find the right
Yeah, that
document.
might be a good idea.
I mean, that to me seems like a good middle road.
That's what I was thinking, because the housing thing here was from our workshop that we did proceeding, for the local comprehensive plan process, but then the actual plan came out of that, so the executive summary is like 12 pages, so that could fit in there nicely with the whole thing is about 140 pages, so
Well,
we don't
we-
want that.
Or you could summarize a summary.
Yeah.
How long is the document? Do we have a page limit?
Well, we don't, but
so
I
you
think in
could-
practicality, the original ones were this thick, and then the 2008 is this thick. I think because so much is available electronically now, people can go either to the library. It would behoove us to have hard copies in the library, in the senior center, in town hall for people who just want to go look at them. I mean, who wouldn't want to read it, right? But I don't want to spend thousands of dollars on printing something that doesn't need to be printed.
You know, you can have a section for the LCP on the website as well,
Mhm.
and these documents could be linked there as well.
That's a good idea.
They're already up, it's already up there for the 2005, so it'd just be a matter of inputting the new ones.
Yeah, well, Courtney can do most anything with our website, so we're all set.
So,
Yes,
so I have kind of my perpetual question, which is, you know, so there's a executive summary that relates to housing, and we have housing scattered through all the place types. You know, I wrote something on economic vitality, which is not a place type, so it wasn't, so, and, which also crosses, you know, all the place types. So how are we organizing things so that their
Well-
executive summary and what I write on economic vitality kind of fits in with what we're doing now?
our executive summary that we create for this document will touch on every topic that's contained within the document. And my vision, in addition to place types, we're gonna have a housing section, a capital infrastructure section, an economic vitality section, and a transportation section that we have added that are not place types, but are necessary for the,
Okay.
for the plan. And that was my
Okay,
understanding.
great.
And that's how I set it up here. It's
Super.
mission, executive summary, place types, and then topics that are not place types,
Great.
for lack of a better description.
Extras.
Extras, yeah.
So housing, economic vitality, transportation, and infrastructure.
And if you look through this document, you'll find those topics after the place types.
Ah, great.
Okay.
Okay, I
Yeah.
get it.
But I will say that not capital infrastructure, because I just thought of that in the night, so it's not in the document yet, but it will be as a page and a place type. And I will reach out to Jay, I mean, I know that the town has a record of anything that's worth $5,000 or more. I don't know if it's subdivided by infrastructure, capital buildings, and the transfer station, for instance. This may very well already exist, such an inventory, and then we can just put it in the document. Because the commission requires it, and that's one thing I'd like to do,
Yeah, got it.
is have it approved, because we have all the bits and pieces that they explain to us that we need.
To the executive summary from the last plan, it's really one line. It says, "The overriding goal of this update is to preserve Wellfleet as a livable community and maintain its character as a coastal village." That's one line. And then they go into a series of
That's not a bad template.
40 bullet points or something, but it's not a bad template, but
I don't think I want 40 bullet points.
No, but it's how they break it down, and then they kind of broke it down into all the
Yeah,
little areas.
we can mirror what we have for sections, and I assume that that's how we do the executive.
But I think what would be helpful too is in that summary, it seems like some of the things that are bubbling up, the big issues are infrastructure, you know, and they even mentioned it back here quite a bit, water and sewer.
Yeah.
Because those are the
Exactly.
things that, you know, that can provide the most opportunity for the changes for, you know, business revitalization, housing opportunities. So I think it's important to, in that executive summary, that these are the big planning things that need to occur. It's starting to take a little bit more, it's starting to make more sense to me now, I guess, as I'm
I'm
going
just
through this.
getting to a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, but those big things are, you know, we keep
Uh-huh.
coming back to some of the big things in.
Well, the big things are never gonna be resolved within a 5 or, 11-year period.
Yeah,
But that's the goal, not to let them drop, to keep them out in the awareness of the town that this is still a goal. We've made these incremental steps toward it, but so that in 2024, 25, when the next group are doing this, they can look back at the goals and see how the town has progressed in that time period.
Yeah, I think that, you know, that if we have a goal of, you know, whatever the goal is for water and sewer by 2025, so then for this plan, what are the steps
Right, exactly.
you know,
But we're gonna have, I
to
would,
reach that, you know, what are the steps that
Right.
we expect to have accomplished in 5 years?
I agree with that. I really think that going back and looking at this plan and where they actually listed goals in a bit, like, for instance, when they're talking about housing, they said, look, you know, one of the things is recommend to somebody to allow, consider tax abatements and or incentives for homeowners to convert rental properties from seasonal to affordable year-round units. And then they list like whose responsibility, local housing partnership and the Board of Selectmen would be the boards responsible for taking those steps. To me, it might be a little bit too much minutia, but at the same time, I think something in each category that here's a
absolutely.
step and a goal.
right? Because you have my least favorite adjective, overarching goals, and then you have what can be accomplished in 5-year goals.
Yeah, exactly.
Measurable. So
Measurable.
you have a benchmark.
Right.
And I think once we get those goals, this committee determines those goals, then we can go through and say, well, who would be the boards that would need to look at this, to get this started, or approve it, or
And
support it.
that's where you really have to go to each of those committees and make sure they buy into
Right.
being the responsible party.
Right.
There was a tremendous amount of assigning responsibility in the old thing. It's like almost everybody's supposed to help with this and the other thing. And I don't think that brings out leadership and forces particular groups to do what they should do.
Yeah, then to the circle of people pointing to the next group.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
That's not,
That isn't effective, Jen,
No.
and I agree with you.
No.
And I also think that, I know in previous times it was emailed or whatever to each board and committee. I would like to see us each pick a few committees and take the proposal
We
and
said
get
we
on the
would do that,
agenda
yeah.
and be the face that brings the proposal to that committee. Just a 5-minute spot on the agenda, this is where we are, update on the local comprehensive plan, and this is what we see as something your committee or board could assist with over the next 5 years. Do you agree?
Yep.
And if you do, we'll put your name on, next to it in parentheses.
yeah.
And it should be language like, will include but is not limited to the board of whatever, so that people figure if they have an interest or something they can offer up to assist it, they aren't precluded.
So you're talking about naming, for any particular goal, naming one committee as the lead.
One or two, one or
Kind of
two.
as the lead
Mhm.
committee, so that there's somebody clearly in charge.
Right,
Right.
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 Yeah.
Because I agree with Jan, there were some of the things like had 6 committees
Yeah.
attached to it, which was really lovely, but nobody thought it was their personal responsibility.
Yeah, not my problem.
And after the first comprehensive plan was written, they assigned I don't know if they assigned him or he volunteered. Once a year, they would go, I got a visit from, I can't think of his name.
What role did he
He's a
play?
poker player. He played with that group of guys that play poker. Doesn't matter. Anyway, he would come once a year with his clipboard and ask me for the beach program goals, which ones had been met over the previous year.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah. So we don't have to do it with a clipboard. We could do that electronically once a year. Send it out to the committees and say, how's it going?
how you doing?
Yeah, has anything been happening about this goal from the comprehensive plan? First comprehensive plan had 397 goals though.
Suzanne, would it make sense to look at our 2-page sections as 1-page narrative and the second page the goals and the
Absolutely.
assignments of who to do
Absolutely.
it, just so that it's
And if anybody needs 3 pages, that's not gonna be a problem, but and I think this is not all in the same size font, it's not all in the same font because it's cut and paste. I like the idea of the narrative page and then the goals.
Okay.
Needs, and goals on the second page.
Don't goals kind of articulate the need or no?
Well, I think the needs are larger than the goals.
Okay.
I think the needs are there, and then the goals are how you achieve those needs. Not to be too petty, but I think that's the language I get from the
Actually, you
commission.
could switch those around all day if you want. Needs and goals.
Thank you, Jay, that's very helpful.
Yes. And so the
Let's not get
goal-
philosophical about this, please.
Narrative needs.
So the goals will be kind of the overarching goal for that topic, and then the 5-year goals.
Let's say the goal is to provide enough workforce housing so that everyone who wants to live and work in Wellfleet can afford to do so. That's a pretty big goal.
Yeah.
Need. And then your goal would be create X amount of units by 2025.
Yeah.
I mean, that's more measurable. We want
Yeah.
the goals to be measurable.
We could also do the way the regional plan did it was they have a goal and then they call it objective.
Okay,
That's
that's,
a more-
Yeah, right,
That's
the
good.
objective is the more
Yeah.
measurable one. Yeah.
So for instance, I mean, this is really small
Okay.
type,
that is really small type.
but under natural systems, they have water resources. The goal is to maintain a sustainable supply of high-quality, untreated drinking water and protect, preserve, or restore the ecological integrity of Cape Cod's fresh and marine surface water resources. Then the objective, there's 5 of them, but the first one, protect and preserve groundwater quality. So that's kind of like, I don't know, you could almost say that was a goal, and you can almost
Yeah.
reverse them, but.
Yeah, that's more general than what we're trying to create.
You're right, no, but right, which
But I
is
like
the
the
regional
word
plan,
objective.
but I'm
I
just
like the
saying,
word objective.
I
like
do
it.
too,
I
I
like
think
it.
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
it less,
That's philosophical.
well,
Right, like under promote the restoration of degraded wetland resource areas. We've got something right here in Wellfleet.
that's an objective of the
It's the
natural
objective
resource.
of the natural resources of the Cape Cod Regional Plan, yeah.
I think a lot of ours will be similar to the regional plan, but we have to make sure that we have Wellfleet specific areas.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our job is to say, in this particular area of Wellfleet, we want to do that.
Yes.
All right, so Jen, you're after your
My
half hour.
9:30, my 9:30 got canceled
Oh,
because of the
lovely,
weather.
lovely.
So
Oh, I'm glad you're here, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So
All
that's something, we're talking narrative, needs, goals, objectives for each section that we would.
Yeah, I think we could subdivide what we have. A lot of it has,
Assets too, didn't we have assets that we thought, were just the things that we already had?
yeah, there's a lot of, like, for instance, in the, on page 15, under light industrial activity centers.
Yes.
There's a lot of
those are
bullets, so I
assets,
mean, we can relabel them to our heart's content. I put them in exactly as people sent them to us. And a lot of it's repetitive, and it isn't, this is a very rough draft, but it made me feel better, because my mind works better when I have
Organization.
one thing. Thank you. All right, so any other,
Yeah, just to Mac's point about the weight plan and the goals and objectives from them, would it make sense for us to go back and revisit those first? And I mean, not first, I mean, now at this juncture. And see
Probably.
which of those we need to carry forward, because they still are, I may not have addressed them yet.
I just found it really useful when I was diving right into the maritime and marina, like, well, where are we now? Like, and things that were obvious to me, like, oh yeah, we rebuilt a pier. That was a big deal.
yeah, sadly, we did that exercise in the previous iteration of this committee,
Yeah.
but the paperwork didn't survive.
Oh, this is
So-
the evaluation of the previous.
Right, so we can absolutely do that exercise again. Because it's very useful.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've lost,
So we'll put that on the next meeting. That will be our first order of business, is to go over the 2008 plans, goals and objectives, and see which ones have been achieved and which ones need to be carried forward.
Wow.
Isn't
I
this
only
that
have
paperwork
that
about
form.
it?
Yeah.
I think this is the paperwork.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
You
You
have-
have it.
Everybody has that.
Yeah.
Dan gave it out in June.
Oh, that's
Everybody
right,
has
he did.
it.
All right.
I mean,
All right.
I don't think we did it
You
as
still have
this.
it.
group,
But I think we should go do it around the table.
It was.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely
Yep.
sent it to everybody a
okay.
couple times and printed it out.
Okay, so I'd like,
This was,
can I
you know,
just look at it
the
to
committee
refresh my
members in
memory?
the first
Right,
iteration had to do
right.
this.
Right. So if you don't have it, Bonnie, I will send it to you, because I have it, either electronic, hard copy, or
I'll just
both.
send it again right now
Okay,
to everybody.
Yeah,
all
good.
right.
Yeah, I have.
So it's kind of nice, so we can kind of disregard all of the, you've consolidated everything we've
I
done
have.
basically.
Yes, I
Okay,
do.
gotcha.
Yes, I have.
All right.
So you can either recycle it, if you have notes on it, you might want to keep
Right.
it for when you're
Yeah.
working. But I found it, I have in this notebook, every piece of paper that I
Yeah.
got, so far.
Mhm.
And,
Mhm.
So can I just,
yes,
I just want to be clear about something. So our format for every place type is going to be what?
it's gonna be a narrative,
Okay,
and then on one, starting on the first page, assuming it's like about a page long. And then
I'm going as far as I can go.
needs, goals, and objectives. Oh, no, we have to have assets in there too. Assets, needs,
That
goals,
could
and
go
objectives.
in the narrative
Do we-
part.
I don't know if we need assets.
And so is that what I'm hearing from,
So could you describe a little what should be in the narrative as opposed to needs, goals, and objectives? Because I would be more inclined to put some narrative under each of those. Yeah.
well, let's put it together the way you're most comfortable, and then as we discuss your section and everybody else's section, we'll end on the final thing.
Okay, great.
As long as the pieces are there, I think we can
Yeah, okay.
come to that, because somebody may come up with a wonderful format that nobody else thought of, then we all decide to adopt it, so.
Okay.
I'm not gonna be, I don't think we're rigid now. Those pieces need to be there, but we're far from
Super.
even galleys.
Okay.
Well, this is the first one, and it was fairly helpful, Suzanne.
yeah.
Yes,
Number
very,
one.
really, yeah, really helpful.
Alrighty, so I will, and we also have, we have these really nice colorful, pages from the workshops.
Oh, yeah, you sent us.
And do you think that maybe, Courtney, it could go up on the website, like, this is what we did, we started this and this, and we're working on it now, to give people, refresh their memories that they were part of the first part of this?
That
Uh-huh.
spreadsheet looking thing?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I can put that up.
Yeah, I think, also these colored pages.
Is that in the?
That's
Oh,
the-
that's from Sky.
Yeah.
From Sky, yes,
Okay, yep, I can do that.
yeah. I think it's kind of nice to have a history of what's going on.
What I'll do is on our local comprehensive planning committee page, I'll create a little sub-page that says current work, and then that'll have all that stuff
Alright,
up
great.
to date.
Thank you.
Yeah. Could this document be sent to us electronically so that we can build on or even cut and paste things that other people have written? So for example, if I'm doing economic vitality and there's some text in here under a place type that really
I don't want
has to
too
do
many,
with that.
well, I'm reluctant to send it to you electronically, not just you, but the committee. So I'd like everybody to be working from the same format each time. So any changes, if you just email me and say, stick this in here, I'll do it for the next iteration.
Got it.
Then I have the master copy. I think it's, having gone through some budget seasons where there were 7 people at the table and no one had the same budget iteration as the next person, I would like to avoid that with a local comprehensive plan. And I will put dates on each version so that going forward, we have a track record. All right. Anything else?
So just keep working on this for the next
Keep
meeting?
working on this for next meeting and take a look at the 2008 because we'll be, well, not the actual, but at least the goals and what's happened with them. And see you in 2 weeks.
Do we have a date deadline for submitting so that by next meeting, we'll, the fuller versions will all be available for us to look at?
You mean the narratives?
Yeah, the narratives, yeah.
Well, some people have done a really good start, so if you would finish up your, whatever you have, some of your draft narratives and goals and objectives and whatever you decide they should be called, and I'll put them all in one document and we'll be all set.
So we should send it to you by at least 3 days before the next meeting, or?
Oh, no, I'm a last minute person. You can send it, you can leave the Friday, the morning of the day before, so I can just do some quick word processing, we'll be fine.
Yeah, okay.
Cutting and pasting is not a huge
Yeah.
time. Well, I don't have to think, I'm just mechanically doing things.
Okay.
Next meeting, the 17th. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
I have a meeting at the Cape Cod Commission, unfortunately, I have to be at that one, so
Well.
I'm up here. I'm sure you can get along without me now.
Well, we'll try.
Meet again?
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you, ladies.